Hello my friends.
Greetings to all Hearthstone adepts.
Today we have compiled a list of new Hearthstone archetypes for each class.
If the last month of Ashes of Outland bored you, our list will be especially helpful, since we will analyze new strategies that Scholomance Academy has brought to us. To do this, we studied meta reports and guides from various popular sites.
Dear friends, at the end of this video, we will make a very serious announcement about the Battle Pass. Please make sure not to miss it.
We'll start with the Demon Hunter. As always, the new set complements the existing archetypes. However, today we want to talk about decks with a large number of new cards, or even completely new strategies. Control Demon Hunter is exactly such an archetype, but it is not as strong as other Demon Hunter decks. This archetype has substantially changed thanks to the new soul cards.
Demon Hunter is a slower-paced version of Demon Hunter that utilizes the class's many board clears to control the game's pace, while dealing enough damage through weapons and burst to end the game.
This version of the deck has a 53% win rate. You will need 3 legendary cards, one of which is Sociologist Militia.
We do not recommend wasting dust on this deck, but if you're lucky enough to have these 3 legendary cards, you should try this deck.
The next in line is the Mage. Jaina received the most tools for updating strategies and creating new decks.
The new cards have had a big impact on the Freeze, Tortollan and even Exodia archetypes. Unfortunately, all of these strategies seem a bit weak. The most popular archetype is Cyclone Mage. Cyclone Mage is getting a new push thanks to the spell damage package and new cheap spells. The deck has a few ways of winning. One is generating enough mage spells to overwhelm your opponent. Another option is Chenvala, which will keep spawning 5/5 minions until removed. And finally, dropping 0 mana giants is a huge threat.
In our opinion, this is one of the most fun decks on our list, despite the effectiveness of the archetype leaving much to be desired. Also, the deck is quite expensive. You will need 4 legendary cards and 4 epic cards to create this deck. Despite these flaws, I love this archetype.
What's with the Shaman?
Shaman might be the weakest class in the game right now. Most of its strategies have failed to make a mark. Scholomance Academy pushed the spell damage Shaman archetype. We've seen a whole load of handy new minions and spells to add to these decks. This archetype is all about getting spell damage cards on the board and hitting the enemy with chip damage until you can finish the fight with high damage spells.
This is a pretty fun deck, or maybe I just like spells. It's hard for me to decide. In any case, this archetype is gradually losing popularity due to its low efficiency. If you prefer to win and not have fun, you should use Totem Shaman.
Now let's move on to the Priest. Mindrender Alusha is the main treasure found by the priests in the halls of Scholomance Academy. Changing the cost of this card did not significantly change its value. This is a very flexible and versatile card that will do well in any archetype.
In addition to this cool legendary card, Priest got the opportunity to resurrect the Tempo archetype and improve the Galakrond deck with an expanded dragon pool.
Unfortunately, the old Galakrond and Highlander Priest decks are still slightly better. They didn't change much after the release of the expansion.
Despite this fact, Galakrond Dragon Priest looks fun enough, or maybe I just like dragons?
Your main goal remains the same. You can use your favorite deck in a slightly different way. Warlock still lacks a variety of strategies. Scholomance Academy has brought the Hand Warlock back to life, and turned the Zoo Warlock into a masochist.
What do you mean?
We are talking about Pain Zoo Warlock, the completely new version of Zoo which benefits from health change effects, but particularly from self-damage effects. Warlock always had an easy time losing health between their hero power and other cards that damaged their own hero.
The recent Soul Fragment package also added a way to regain some of the lost health. Any health changes during your turn make Flesh Giant cheaper and cheaper. In addition, this archetype uses the discard package.
In general, we got some extremely aggressive and effective Frankenstein monster which consists of different strategies. And you know what? I like it.
Or maybe you just like Frankenstein?
Yeah, Dora. Haha, very funny.
What about the Rogue?
Weapon Rogue is in the top 5 new decks. The Rogue finally managed to get rid of Galakrond in new strategies. Hallelujah.
Weapon Rogue is a very aggro deck with a limited window to kill your opponent. This aggressive archetype has been created based on a few of the Scholomance Academy cards. The most important of them is Self-Sharpening Sword, which is not only 10 damage for 3 mana over time, but also a high durability weapon that gets massive benefits from all the weapon buffs the deck runs, like Dr. Krastanov and Deadly Poison. In addition, the deck has a variety of payoff cards that give you benefits for having a big weapon.
In 4th place is the Warrior. Most of the basic archetypes of the Warrior remained largely the same, but we got one new strategy which has become the most popular and effective.
Big Warrior is finally effective in the training rooms of the Scholomance Academy. Commencement is another, Recruit, card that lets you summon something big from your deck, and also gives the minion Taunt plus Divine Shield, making it much stronger. Other than that, the deck has got some early, mid-game tools to make it work.
The only significant drawback that can prevent you from trying this strategy is the very high cost. There are 5 legendary cards in the deck, and most of them are narrowly applicable.
Face Hunter is in the top 3 decks. This is the most popular and effective hunter archetype at the moment. In addition, Scholomance Academy brought back Beast Hunters, but their effectiveness is too low.
Face Hunter draws in many players with its fast games and ease of access, and it does not cost a lot of dust to create. In fact, this is almost a free deck. All you need is Dragonbane, the only legendary card, but you can easily find a replacement for it.
In 2nd place is Druid. The class received perhaps the most advantages from the new expansion.
Firstly, Malygos Druid was significantly improved with new cards. Secondly, Gibberling Druid appeared, a new version of Token Druid. And perhaps the most insane deck of all, Guardian Druid. Guardian Druid built around the Guardian Animals card. This 7 mana spell lets you summon 2 beasts from your deck that cost 5 mana or less, and give them rush. By the way, the community considered this card one of the worst in the set.
The deck suffered minor damage due to a change to Kael'thas Sunstrider, but Guardian Druid is still the most effective Druid deck, and one of the most popular decks in the mode.
It's time to talk about the Paladin. On the one hand, Paladin is the worst class in the game. Scholomance Academy has completely eliminated even the smallest variation in archetypes. But on the other hand, we got cards that have significantly improved Liberum Paladin's power.
Perhaps this deck was improved too much, as it is now the most effective and popular archetype in the game. In addition, you can choose a Murloc Paladin that has not been mentioned much, but still remains effective.
Liberum Paladin is an archetype that consists of only Paladin class cards and utilizes powerful spell synergies with Liberum cards to gain both excellent value and tempo. You're trying to kill your opponent early with aggression, but you've got a backup plan in case this doesn't work.
That's all the decks for today. Now we want to share with you our opinion on the new expansion. The developers gave us interesting cards that leave room for unusual combinations. Each class has received updated strategies or completely new archetypes, but it seems to us that the potential of the set has not yet been fully revealed.
Despite the high expectations of the community, only 15 out of 25 legendary cards have a popularity above 1%. Scholomance Academy hasn't weakened Ashes of Outland's position, contrasting last year when each new set almost destroyed the previous one. We had hoped that the new set would have a significant impact on the wild mode metagame, but it didn't work out.
Overall, we like this set more than Ashes of Outland, but one thing worries us. We noticed that our dust supply has dropped significantly. Deck building has become very expensive.
If you want to try something new, you need to spend a lot of dust on cards that are only good for a specific strategy. Last year, during the same period, 74 legendary cards were used in meta decks with varying popularity. The players were extremely unhappy with the high cost of the game. Currently 93 legendary cards are used in the meta game.
We really like Team 5's approach to creating narrow application cards. It makes the game much more interesting, but unfortunately my dust bank was almost exhausted.
We want to hear your voice. Has it become more difficult for you to create different decks?
How do you like the new meta and new decks? Has the game become interesting for you? Share your thoughts, we read all comments as always. And also take part in voting on our community tab page.
Finally, a few words about the Battle Pass. I want to clarify a few very important points. Of course, the published concept of the Battle Pass is not the final version. In addition, the developers assure us that we will not receive fewer rewards.
By the way, this is indeed true. We confirmed this claim in our video.
Don't get me wrong. I take this concept very seriously, because the team that created such a balance of resources definitely pursued very clear commercial objectives, or were completely incompetent. I'm sure that this idea was approved by the management of the company before publication.
The words of the developers could not convince us that everything will be fine, since the concept completely ignores the interests of most of the players. We did not get a promise that we will get something completely different, or that the amount of gold will remain the same. Just imagine that you talk to an architect. He shows you a blueprint of your new house without windows and doors, but assures you that everything will be fine when the house is put into operation. He is just worried about the color of the facade.
I became the target of hatred and accusations of some influential members of the community, because I do not believe the architect, and instead claim that something is wrong with the project. Although at the same time, influential players prefer to remain silent on this topic, and do not want to take responsibility for themselves for a positive or negative assessment.
Either way, we have several very simple suggestions for the Battle Pass, which are guaranteed to help players save both the value and usefulness of rewards. I promise you that you will wonder why Blizzard didn't do this from the start. If you are interested in seeing a video on this topic, let us know in the comments.
As always, we want to express our gratitude to our patrons. Dear friends, your support is invaluable. With all my robotic heart, thank you very much. Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for being with us.
And special thanks to Chris for text editing.
We will meet in new videos.
Good luck.